Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risk, but to win big, you've got to reduce it. If you're not already a member of our community, please go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now to join and receive the following 5 free benefits. First, you get the risk reduction checklist I created from all the learnings from all the guests. Second, you get my weekly investment research email to help you increase your return. Third, you get a 25% discount on all A Stotz Academy courses. Fourth, you get instant access to the Facebook community to get to know guests and fellow listeners. And finally, you get my curated list of the top 10 episodes out of now more than 400. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz from A Stotz Academy, and I'm here with featured guest Kassy Pajarillo-Braganza. Kassy, are you ready to rock?
I am ready to rock, and you pronounced my name right. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's the biggest challenge. That's my hardest job with the podcast, is making sure I get that right. The tough challenge goes to my guests. Let me introduce you. So, business growth, online mentor, and coach, Kassy helps coaches, consultants, trainers, private practitioners, and service-driven entrepreneurs claim their 6-figure outcomes for their 7-figure businesses through her program, Power Profile Biz Accelerator. Kassy, take a moment and fill any further tidbits about your life.
Well, my life, we're just newly married. My husband and I were just newly married, and in December 2020. And coming from that, my entire career was an on and off, from the roller coaster ride of being in corporate to being a solopreneur to venturing all sorts of things into going back to the hotel business until I finally have my own startup recognized by Google and all those things. So finally, finally I said, okay, it's time for me to have my own startup again. When I lost my job, just when I was in the nickel of being my dream job, of having my dream job as a general manager of a hotel. So one of my greatest dreams really was to become one of those women general managers, because at the time when I was a little bit more younger, or maybe high school and stuff, whenever I search on Yahoo, okay, Yahoo, guys, Yahoo, let's not talk about age right here, right? When you were going through Yahoo search, you barely got to see who are the top women leaders. And I figured there's something wrong. There is a problem here. How come there are no, much women leaders on top? I mean, I know that women are, great leaders. We do multitasking well, we nurture. And at such a young age, I already had a dream. In fact, I had it on my journal. And finally, when college was just about to when I was about to turn into college, I was juggling and I was thinking, should I go for being a doctor because my parents said so, or maybe should I become a lawyer because my dad named me after a lawyer, or maybe I should be, in mass communications. 'Cause I love to talk, or maybe, there's just so many things. And so finally I said, you know what, a good thing that I have been journaling since I was young. And I saw that, okay, you love going to the spa, you love going hanging out in the resorts and hotels. Might as well just do it. So yeah, so the story of my life was I just went straight to that. I didn't march for college anymore since I was all about, screw it. Why am I gonna do that? I mean, why am I gonna wait 5 hours just to go to the stage and just get my diploma? So that was my story though. And finally, when I got my very first job, it was such an ambitious goal, and people have always been labeled me ambitious, like negatively. And I was like, F that. Like, what's wrong with being ambitious? I mean, if I wanted to become, to work at the best resort in the world, I would do that because that's my dream. Who cares? So when in college, I only gave my resume to just one company, while all of them were sending it out to different companies left and right, shooting the moon here and there. For me, I was just like, no, I'm just going to give it to Amman Resorts. That's it.
Mm.
And it's all that I wanted. And people were like, oh, you're so ambitious, Kassy. They're not going to accept you. You're just what? A newly grad? Who are you? And why would you even have this ambition to become a general manager anyway? And you just graduated. And I was like, okay, well, that's my dream. So F you, right? So I've always had that thing in me. But of course, sometimes it creeps me in, that self doubt sometimes creeps me in. When I got in there, I was like, I can't believe that I was upgraded from being in the Amman resorts in the Philippines to Amman resorts in the US, which is Amman Ghani. And that's really, really changed my life. But apparently, I realized there's just so much more to learn. Like being a general manager apparently is not just about cleaning the
Mm.
floors. I mean, that's not actually that, or being the chef of the house, or receiving guests and all. Although it was pretty fun though, having to receive celebrities,
Mm.
closing the entire resort, thinking Michael Jackson was gonna come in. Apparently it was Michael of Jackson. Oh my god, that was crazy. Yeah, and that was the story of my life. And
Mm.
until finally when I got back in the Philippines, and long story short, ventured on a lot of things. My general manager said, hey, Kassy, if you really want to become a general manager, one secret that I have to tell you is that you got to expedite and carve your own path. So while everybody were like going for, staying in one hotel 10, 15 years, maybe, just sticking to one department, Kassy over here was venturing out on a lot of departments by going to the best um, marketing agencies, ad agencies. I went to Ogilvy, Philippines, and Myanmar to just really know what are the ins and outs, until finally I said, you know what, I'm ready to become a marketing director and maybe be mentored by becoming general manager. And that was a story. And but he said, Kassy, I think you're much better in entrepreneurship. I was like, what?
Mm.
Who are you to crush my dreams? I'm like, I'm in this close. I'm like, you're already mentoring me. So why? Well, why is that happening? And he said, Kassy, I see you. Because here's the thing. He gave me a zero marketing budget. Zero. And you are in finance, Andrew. You're in finance. Like in corporations, there will always be a marketing budget, right? I mean, how are you going to earn money if you have no marketing budget? Like, how is that even possible? And I was
Damn.
like, yeah, I mean, be damned, right? But he went on and said, no, I believe in you. I'm going to give you nothing and nothing. It's just you and your assistant. That's it. I was like, the hell? So I couldn't believe it. But Kassy here, being the ambitious that she is, I was like, I take on the challenge. If this is going to be the test of the time so that I can prove to you that I can be the general manager and an amazing badass woman, I'm gonna definitely do this.
Mm.
And what happened was I made use of my resources. I really immersed myself into business. I was, talking in length with him. What are the things that we have to cut cost in? I talked to him about this thing. And what he taught me was, why do you have to cut cost in order for you to earn more? I was like, what the hell are you teaching me again?
Mm.
Right. But eventually, what happened was I just finally saw here the opportunity that in order for you to make money, it's really not about spending money. In order for you to make money was actually having to know what are the resources that you have and make use of those resources and then 10x that. So what I
Mm.
did was I took stock on what's happening in the resort, in the hotel, what are our assets, and turn it over. And we had fully booked rooms after. We had fully booked restaurants after on buffets, and it just returned around. And my general manager was so impressed by that. But I was actually impressed. But even if I was impressed, I was like, I'm lacking sleep. So I love sleep. So no.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, well, the
No.
story there is that's the story of my life,
Yep.
and quit stuff, got married, pandemic, shit happened, and here I am teaching people the business of it all and
So
how to make money but with nothing.
let me just ask that question before we get on to the main question. The next question is just what type of person who's suffering what type of pain can benefit from what you bring to them?
What type of pain can I bring to them? I guess I think this is the desperation and also the desire, and also being focused on one goal.
Mm,
And when you mix them all together, it gives you this force of nature that you're just going to make things happen because you want to make things happen.
right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Great. All
Mm.
right. Well, what a story. And by the way, I know a lot of very impressive women in the Philippines. And now, today, the audience, you're getting to know just one more. So now it's time to share your worst investment ever. And since no one ever goes into their worst investment thinking it will be, tell us a bit about the circumstances leading up to it, and then tell us your story.
Oh my God, Andrew. When I said yes to this podcast, I was like, I love this topic. It's a topic that nobody really talks about. And it will take a lot of bravery and vulnerability to actually share that story. So kudos to you. Thank you for, bringing us in here and for allowing me to also have this conversation to your listeners, and of course, learning from you as well. Worst investment. Now, as you briefed also, investments is not just all about money. It's
Mm,
all about all sorts of other things. I mean, for me, I have two things in mind when it comes to investments: asking and knowing what is the ROR and what is the ROI, right? I mean, in
mm,
finance, it's all about ROI, but for me
mm,
too, I have to know what is ROR. So basically, what is your return of investment when you actually invest in something, or what is your return of resources if you invest in something? So I
mm,
think one of the biggest mistake that I actually learned along the way too, well, from coming from all these endeavors in and out of corporate, to startups, to building my own, and to now being the general manager or CEO of my own company. There's just so many things, but I stopped looking on ROI alone. I have to look into also the ROR, or return of resources. Like, if I invested on something, does it, I mean, what else aside from money do I get from it? Right? So it could be, I increased the level of my confidence. Did I increase the level of, my knowledge? Was I able to know, now finally I have SOPs in my team, right? So there is no waste of investment if you learn from it and you piece them all together as a learning. Because when I shifted as well my mindset, I'm gonna go into that worst investment, right?
mm,
When I shifted my mindset that there's no such thing as winners and losers, there's only winners and learners. So when I stop asking or telling myself that I lost from this investment, and then I'm gonna feel like bad about it. I'm gonna feel like, okay, that was just a shitty move. Why did you even do that, right? But now it's really more, okay, what did I learn from that? Okay, now that you do that, you had an empowered decision. Why did you come up with that decision? What is the objective of actually having to decide or invest into that? Now, the worst investment that I had, which is really pivotal in my life, was, when I was a little bit more younger, I always fall into the trap of sales talk. People will come to me and say, okay, Cassie, do you want to invest in this? It's going to 10x your business and it's going to 10x your life. All you got to do is sit around in there and just not do anything. I mean, I think it was the height of MLMs and all those pyramiding schemes. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, some people actually really, really are good at it.
mm,
But I think for my end, I spent, God, the first thing that I spent on was, I think, around, if I'm not mistaken, around 2,500 dollars. So I just turned it into dollars and pesos. I mean, right? Like, oh shit. So sorry, I kept on saying that. Anyway,
mm,
so the story was, when I was younger, there is this reputable guy. He is coming from a good society. All those people who, leverage on, I am from the elite, or,
right.
something like that. I can be trusted. I'm all over, the newspapers. My credibility is awesome. And I'm a friend, and rubbing elbows with me. You're going to rub elbows with these other people too, and stuff like that. So when I was younger, I thought like, okay, how much is the investment and what is going to happen? And he was like, okay, when you invest $2,000, I should say, when you invest $2,000, what's going to happen is when you invite another person to join the community under you, right? You're going to earn, let's just say, I forgot how much it is, but example, you're going to earn $500. Example, I mean, I don't want to even remember it. So it just hurts. Right. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, why am I going to support you in this? And he was like, oh, yeah, the celebrity here. I mean, the celebrity AB, I mean, lots of celebrities, it was mentioned, is part of this also. And, in the Philippines, we're all about showbiz. We're all about, and unfortunately, I kind of fell under that trap when I was younger. So I was like, okay, cool. Because I trust you. I'm going to give you my money. And what's my next move? And he said, oh, the next move is just sit in there, hang in there. I'm just going to do the work. And my team is going to do the work. And you're just going to like wait for the money to come in. And by the way, you're going to have tons of vitamins in your house. So make use of those vitamins and, feed it to your family, have a protein shake and all these things. And you're going to be healthy too. Isn't that amazing? And I was like, okay, I'm going to fall into this trap. Okay, fine. Let me do it and go and send it over. So I gave him money that I saved for years. Like oh my God, I saved for years. And newsflash, I never got a nickel, nothing. And then I was asking him, okay, I thought I'm just gonna sit around in here and you're just gonna like bring me my money. Like, where the F is
How
it,
much
right?
longer do I have to sit
Yeah,
here?
how much longer? How much longer? And I was like, hang in there. The celebrities are coming in. Hang in there. I was getting all those things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is a good salesman. But I didn't know that, right? Because I was like, what, 20 something? I mean, let's just forget about the age. So after that, I just walk away with it. And I just said, every time I see his face, I just can't trust him anymore. But he's a celebrity chef here. Oops, he's a celebrity.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But he's a celebrity or maybe an icon or known already or somehow. I don't know if you would want to, if whatever you want to call that. So that was that. And I learned my lesson in there. But here's the thing, another lesson happened. So there's this guy who was like, oh, Kassy, you're in the hotel industry. There's this travel package thing. And when you invest X amount, I think that was around $2,000 again or 2000. I never learned my lesson. But he said, oh, yeah, your parents are going to reap the benefit because you will be able to spend time into hotels. Like you're going to have, it's like a time sharing kind of thing.
Yep.
And coming from someone who loves, sitting in the hotel, lounging around the hotel out of nothing or just
Love your parents.
love my parents, all these things. I fell for that trap. And I said, okay. And my mom was looking for something to work on. So I told my mom, hey, mom, I want to invest in this something, but is this something that you want to do? So instead of me, are you going to do the work, mom? So, and she's like, okay, what is it? What is it? Tell me about it. And I told her, okay, all you got to do is really, there are coupons and you can sell it to your friends for an overnight stay on another hotel and you're going to earn from it or something like that. Yeah, that didn't turn out well. And
What did she say? Did she do it or did she say no
well,
way?
she did. She kind of enjoyed it for a while because there are free. No, it's not free because you spend for it, right? But now it dawned on me like, oh, I did pay for those rooms. It wasn't for free. What the hell, right? So she enjoyed it. So a part of me is just like, it's what I learned from that was, okay, number one, love your parents. You gave an opportunity. At least you gave them hotel perks. You stayed on the hotels. That's it. But the money back was, here's the thing, the guy disappeared on me. It's like he was gone and I don't know where he was. Like even if I ask him, even right now when I see his face, I would always tell him, hey dude, whatever happened to the money that you said that you're going to bring back to me? I was like, oh, Kassy, businesses really fail, that's the risk that you have to take. I was like, oh.
So let me ask you, what lessons? Now I want you to think about, there's a lot of young people around the world and particularly in the Philippines that are being approached all the time, whether it's online or through other people, with these types of offers. And let's just talk about offers that really probably aren't really worth doing. So my question is, what lessons did you learn from this experience?
Well, because of those experiences too, right? It actually brought me back to how I do business as well right now. But before I dive into how it taught me in my business and also how to formulate my own offers and what are the things that you shouldn't do, right? What I learned from there was number one is aside from doing the research, you really got to do the work. I mean, there's no such a thing as, sitting there, lounging around and expect for other people to do the work for you and have that passive income that you wanted. I mean, sure, there may be, I mean, in business right now, there's evergreen, there is other ways to do the passive income or even in trading. But the thing is, even on trading, you gotta do something, right? It's not like, okay, I'm gonna put my money there. It's not like in like crypto, wherein you put it in there in 2012, and then now it's like just gonna like have the money that you wanted. But
Mm.
it's not the real thing. So number one, it's do the research. Do the research. Number two, credibility. Being in the newspapers and stuff doesn't really count. I mean, it may count a bit, but doesn't really count. But you gotta also ask yourself, is this person really after my benefit and my
Mm.
well-being, or is he or she or they, whatever, right? Are they just being greedy about it and just wanted to, I mean, want my money, right? And number three, I also learned that shiny object syndrome, right? I mean,
Mm.
when people flash you money that you are going to have X amount in 2 months, 3 months, 1 month, I don't know how long that may be. If it's too good to be true, run, run right now.
Hmm.
And number four, of course, is if they say, hey, in order for you to earn money, you gotta give me money first before I give you money. Okay, that's scary too.
Mm.
Run.
Yep. Okay.
So
Got it.
yeah,
So
so yeah,
four
go
lessons.
for
Number
it.
one, you got to do the work. Number two, I wrote down that fame is a seducer,
Yeah.
and shiny object syndrome is the idea of if it's too good to be true, then it's not. And also, don't give money. There business is about, and maybe I'll add in
Yeah, of course.
my thoughts on this, but business is about trust, and I think we
Yes.
don't learn that in school.
Yes.
But when you go into business, you realize every business is operating with trust because you have suppliers that you've said you're going to pay, and you've got customers that you've trusting that they're going to pay, and you got employees that are working that trust that you're going to pay at the end of the month, and so it's all about trust. So trust is a much bigger thing than what I think a lot of young people realize. So think about trust and remember that trust is only built over time.
Mm,
There's no shortcut or hack to trust.
no,
And
there
the
isn't.
second thing is that I wrote down the word seduced as one of the things I take away, and that's there's so many people out there that are so seductive in what they're proposing to you in a business idea, that it's so, and they're very skilled, they're so skilled at it that it's almost impossible to resist. So
Mm,
be very careful. And I would just say you have to be careful about every business opportunity. I like to say that in investing, never invest in something that somebody called you about, because anybody calling you is doing so because they're getting paid in one way or the other, or they expect to be paid. And then the last thing is passive income. Uh,
mm.
as a finance expert, I can say this is going to sound a little bit weird, but there is no such thing as passive income.
Yes, I learned that along the way.
Right? And
Yeah.
and any little business that you're going to do, you're going to put in work, as you've
Yeah.
explained. But even if you look in the world of finance, we have like this exponential curve that says compounding your money, compound interest. But the point is that exponential curve has one built-in assumption that most people never know because they're not finance experts about it. The assumption that's built into that curve that shows exponential gain later in your life assumes that 100% of all the gains that have been received from that investment are reinvested in that investment. And that means that, particularly
Totally.
if you're young and you're building your wealth, you can't get passive income, because if you took that income out, then you wouldn't get an exponential rise in your income 20 or 30 years from now. So that's even another reason why really there is no such thing as passive income, unless you can say the mega rich could just put their
Yeah.
money in the bank or in some bonds and just get interest off that. But that's far away from what most people who are hoping for passive income get. Anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I think that's where I wanted to really, talk about over here. I mean, in this podcast too. That, especially in Asia, I think, or maybe around the world. I mean, that doesn't matter. But I think it's really more of like people are so what do you call this? Blindsided by the entire word. Oh, you're gonna have passive income if you do this. Oh, you do affiliate marketing, sure. And I mean, yeah, of course. These are strategies and tactics, but it's not like it's going to turn you into like a Bill Gates right away, right? Or even Bill Gates, I mean, he doesn't believe much on like passive income, like, right?
Mm,
I mean, he's diversified wealth, but yeah, I think this is something that really needs to be talked about even more. Like, how do you actually define finances? How do
yep.
you actually define diversification? And even if it's diversification, there are books that would say, like you need 7 things. So that's why I go for an MLM or something.
Right. Right.
I mean, at least for me, I mean, I was at least on the point when my worst investment ever, it was, I mean, I think the worst investment ever there wasn't because I lost money, Andrew, honestly.
Mm,
What I lost there was the trust that I gave to that person.
mm,
I really lost as well the confidence in investing in other people that it pained me. I mean, imagine this. I mean, Andrew, it took me a while as well to trust myself again,
yep.
right? It took me years to tell myself, okay, Kassy. I mean, especially now in this pandemic, I lost, I mean, just like you, your coffee
Mm,
business and all,
yep.
right? I lost my business. I mean, there's no events whatsoever. I can't do all these things I used to do. And all I got to do is like be creative and do something about it. I was in negative 5,000, almost a million pesos, $20,000 that if I didn't do anything, I love forecasting, by the way. So yeah, so I was like, okay, as newly married, if we don't do anything, I mean, it's gonna happen. And here's the thing, Andrew, I was hurt too much that I wasn't betting on myself anymore because I said, okay, wait, I invested on these things and it didn't give me ROR
Mm,
even, right? I mean, forget about ROI. Okay, sure, what, but it didn't give me ROR. It hurts me. So what happened was, before I hired my very first coach, by the way, I paid my coaches $35,000 money that I didn't have.
oh my God.
Oh my God, I know. But because of that, okay, I did my research. I also asked people about it. I also checked on the social proof. I also really spoke to her like in depth. I really had to go through process to talk to this person. Okay, I'm going to bet on myself, but really more bet on you, and this is going to work. And because of that, because of that connection, all those things that I learned in the past, right? I was able to bet myself again. And this is how I was able to build my business now, because
Mm,
this is where I learned, right, that you don't have to manipulate people in order for you to actually earn money, because money is a tool, right? Money, it's just going to go, it's gone after. But what about the trust, right? The trust.
mm,
So the worst investment here, again, I just want to go into a much deeper, meaning into that. It's not because I lost the money. I lost trust, not just, from that person. I lost trust in betting on
right.
myself,
You lost
right?
confidence.
I
Yep.
lost the confidence. Actually, I'm not sure if it's really confidence,
Mm,
Andrew. I think
just
it's
didn't
actually
trust
even,
yourself.
yeah, I think it's deeper more than just confidence, because confidence, there are different types of confidence, right? Confident in speaking, confidence in all these things. But I think confidence on up leveling yourself, confidence on knowing that you are empowered to have decisions again when it comes to betting in yourself.
Mm,
So that was it. So I
okay.
guess, yeah,
Got
so I
it.
guess that was just that. I hope that helps. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
yeah.
based upon what you learned from this story and what you continue to learn, what one action would you recommend our listeners take to avoid suffering the same fate?
Well, really, it's having to know what is really the goal that you want, and what is this big vision that you have, what is the vision that you have, and go through that direction. Because if you don't have a vision, you will always be directionless. Did I just say that right?
Mm, yep.
Right, yeah. So if you don't have a vision, you don't have, you don't have these. Okay, one thing I also do every single day is I actually write down, okay, what is this big goal that I have again? And then I remind myself about that. Number two, where am I going to house my money? If and when I get those money, where am I going to house it? And
Mm,
why am I, and then I will ask myself too, why do I want this? Right? What good will it bring to my family, to my health, to my parents, to whatever reason that may be,
yep.
right? And not fall in, I mean, I do those checks every single day because I don't want to be that person who was like that, who just manipulated. Well, I guess it's
Mm,
manipulation, right?
yep. Yep.
And just being, the big shiny syndrome object and stuff like that, or just, being directionless. So for me, again, it's ROR. So what am I getting out of it? So
Okay.
yeah, so those were the lessons that basically I have.
Yep.
It's really more like psychologically,
Mm.
what does it do to you? So
Last question.
sure.
What's your number one goal for the next 12 months?
My number one goal for the next 12 months is to have more women, to help more women reach their six, seven figure income dollars. I haven't had anyone at the seven figure dollars yet, but I have some with seven figure Philippine pesos,
Mm,
with speed and, of course, with work life integration. Because in the Philippines, or where I see everywhere as well in the world, majority of the people are all about hustle, 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 hustle,
mm,
right? For me, I want you to have time for yourself. And that is my goal. I mean, it feels great. I think this is also the lesson that I had from then, right? Like, it feels great to know that when you actually impacted another soul. I mean, in fact, I just yesterday somebody said, "Hey, coach," she was sharing to me, "Hey, coach, I know I'm a sleeper. You don't see me often, but thank you for your guidance. We're now building our house." And that in
mm.
itself was just amazing. And I want more stories like that. But personally as well, aside from that goal, of course, with my mentees, and responding to that calling, my number one goal for my family too is to actually renovate the house.
Okay.
it
Exciting.
yeah, it really excites me because we're trying to conceive, we're trying to have a baby. So
Mm.
I'm already, what excites me really more is like motherhood. I'm
Getting
really excited for
prepared.
that, getting prepared for that. So it's
Mm.
not about the money. It's really not about the money, but it's really more of the experiences that my family is going to go through because of the resources that I also gain and I
Great.
also give. Yeah.
Great.
Mm.
Well, listeners, there you have it. Another story of loss to keep you winning. My number one goal for the next 12 months is to help you, my listener, reduce risk and increase return in your life. To achieve this, I've created our community where you gain the 5 free benefits I mentioned earlier. Just go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now to join us. As we conclude, Kassy, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. And on behalf of A Stotts Academy, I hereby award you alumni status for turning your worst investment ever into your best teaching moment. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
My parting words is drive ambition, keep on serving love, and do that one thing that fuels you. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, that's a wrap on another great story to help us create, grow, and protect our well fellow risk takers. This is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stott, saying, I'll see you on the upside.